Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel again. If you are coming across my video for the first time, you are highly welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, I do appreciate you. If you want to learn how to draft and cut the style you're seeing on your screen, stay tuned to the end of the video. And please guys, do not forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and also drop a comment. So we're taking all our body measurements from the shoulder down to the full length. And for my shoulder is 16. The shoulder I'm working with is 16. So I'll be taking 8 inch. I'll be taking 8 inch. Then we'll go down and take all our body measurements. So from my shoulder to my armhole is 9 inches. 9 inches. From my shoulder to my chest point, from my shoulder to my nipple is 10 inches. And from my shoulder to my under bust is 14 inches. From my shoulder to my half length is 18 inches. Normally, from my shoulder to my half length is 16 inches, but because of this style, I'll be making use of 18 inches. And then my full length is 37 inches plus folding allowance. My full length is 37 inches plus folding allowance. So I'll just repeat all these measurements on the other side so that I can get a straight line. So from my shoulder to my armhole is 9 inches. From my shoulder to my nipple is 10 inches. From my shoulder to my under bust is 14 inches. From my shoulder to my half length is 18 inches. And from my shoulder to my full length plus sewing allowance is 37 inches. So I'll just take my ruler and draw out the lines so that you can see it well. So these are the lines I'm working with. So this is my armhole. This is my shoulder to nipple. This is my under bust. This is half length. And this is the full length of my dress. After that, I'll be taking my round body measurement. So here I said my shoulder is 8 inches. I am going to come to my armhole and I'll mark 8 inches like so. And then from here, from the tip of my shoulder, I'll be coming down by 1 inches to get the shoulder slant. So from this point here, I'm going to draw a straight line. I'm going to draw a straight line like this. Yes. And then I'll be taking my round neck measurement. Although in this dress we don't need a round neck measurement, but I'll be taking it just for the sake of taking sake. So I'm going to connect my shoulder slope like so. Yes. So afterwards, we want to get the armhole curve. So for the armhole curve, from this point here to my armhole, I'll just divide it by 2. Whatever I have there, I would mark it like so. So from this point here, I'll come in by half an inch, and I'm going to connect everything together. You can decide to use your free hand, or if you have a curve ruler, you can also use your curve ruler. Whichever one works. So I'm going to connect those points like this to get my armhole curve. So after that, we'll come down to my bust measurement. So my bust measurement is 40. But what we are going to do first off is on this, my shoulder to nipple. My nipple to nipple is 4.5. My nipple to nipple is 9 inches. So divided by 2 is 4.5. So that 4.5, I'm just going to take that 4.5 measurement all the way down. I'm going to take 4.5 on my under bust. I'm going to take it on my half length. I'm also going to take it on my hip. And then I'll take it on my full length of my dress. So after that, guys, we want to get our bustier out. So after that, what we're going to do, we just draw a straight line all the way. I'm going to connect all the way to the top. Like so. So we want to get our dart intake. So from our under bust here, we'll take 1 inch by the right and 1 inch by the left from our under bust. We'll repeat the same measurement on our half length, 1 inch by the right and 1 inch by the left. And because our dart is going to stop on our hip line, we are not taking any measurements here. Our dart is stopping on our hip line. So what we are going to do next is to go up by 3 inches, and I'm going to connect it. I'm going to draw a straight line to that point where I marked 3 inches. Yes. So afterwards, remember we took our dart intake from our under bust. So we are just going to connect from the under bust up to the nipple points. Remember, this is the shoulder to nipple, up to the nipple points. You are going to just connect it like so, up to the nipple points. So you can use your free hand. You can as well use your curve ruler. You don't want it to be too curvy so it doesn't stress you out when you are trying to join it together. So this is how it's going to look like. And then from here now, remember we took 1 inch here, 1 inch here. So we are going to extend the line, the dart, to the half length. So we are going to extend it like so. Do the same thing here. We are going to extend it. And then because this dart is not extending all the way down, it's going to stop on our hip measurement. The dart is going to be stopping on our hip measurement. So we'll just draw a straight line from this point down to the half length measurement there, just as you can see me do it. So we've gotten our dart measurements. So now we want to tighten the bust. We want to tighten the top part of our bust, and this is what we are going to be doing. From this point here, we'll just go on both sides by half of an inch. If the person is busty, you should use 2 inch for the person. That's like, if the person is busty, you should use about 2 inch for the person. But if the person is a normal size, is a size person, is not busty, just use 1 inch. Take half inch on the right and half inch on the left. And we are going to connect it like this. We are just going to connect it like so. So like I said, you don't want it to be too curvy, so it doesn't stress you out when you are trying to join them together. Yes, and this is what we have. So I'll just draw a straight line across like so. I'll just draw a straight line. I hope you understand. I'll draw a straight line here. And remember, there's a V. There's a V at the middle parts of the dress. So I'll come in from here. I'll come in by 1 inch. So it's going to be 2 inch altogether by the time I cut it on fabric. So from this point, I will go down by 3 inches. I don't want my cleavage to show too much. I'll just go down by 3 inches or 2.5. Just do whatever works for you. So I will use my ruler to connect like so. I'll just draw a straight line from that point downwards. So afterwards, guys, we want to take our body measurements. So for our body measurement, our bust is 40. 40 divided by 4 will give you 10. So I'll be marking this 10 here. And the what we subtracted from here, which is 1 inches, I'll be replacing it. And I'll add my 1 inch seam allowance, 1.5 or 2 inches, depending on what you want to work with. So I'm working with 1.5 inch seam allowance. So on my half length, my waist measurement is 8.5. My waist and my under bust is the same measurement. That's 34, 34. So I'll be marking 8.5 here. Plus this 2 inches that we've taken out, we are going to add it here. And then we'll add our 1.5 inch seam allowance. Whatever I have here, I would take it to my under bust. Whatever I have here, I'm going to take it to my under bust. Yes. So on the hip, we are not doing anything on the hip because it's going to be a gathers. It is going to be a gathers. I'll just use my free hand. So you use your free hand. You can choose to use your curve ruler, whichever one you want to use. Then from this half length here, we are just going to make a curve to meet these points. We are going to make a curve to meet this point. You can use your free hand. Then I want to start with a pencil so that I'll get what I want before going in with the marker. We are going to curve it like this. So let me mark it out so you can see. So guys, I just remember that we'll be taking our bust dart. So for our bust dart, from this our nipple here, we'll just come down by 1 inch. And we are going to take that 1 inch and mark it to this point. From here, we are going to draw a straight line all the way to this point. This is our bust dart. So afterwards, guys, we'll be taking our sleeve. We'll be taking our sleeve. The sleeve is nothing too much. From the shoulder here, I'll be coming in by half of an inch. You can come in by 1 inch if you want. From that point where I marked, I'll come upward again by 3 inches. Let me connect it. From this half inch that I took, I'll connect it to the armhole. I'll connect it to the armhole, like so. So from this point, this new armhole now, because this one now, I'm not using this one. This new armhole now, I'm going to take 3 inches. I'm going to be taking 3 inches from here. And from this our chest point, because our sleeve is going to be connected to this point, from this our chest point, I would take 1.5 inch, and I'm going to connect it like so. You can use your curve ruler. To connect it. Just going to connect like so. So this is what I'll be having. You can make yours tiny if you want to. You can make yours tiny. You can choose to come in some more by 1 inch, connect it with your armhole and all. But this is what I want to make use of. And I'm going to cut out everything. I am not doing the slash and spread method because this is not useful. Like, it is useful if you want to use the slash and spread method, but I'm not going to use the slash and spread method for this tutorial. So this is just the part that I want. This is the part that I want. So for you not to make mistakes, from your half length here, you're just going to take note of what you have from your half length down to your full length. What I have here is 19 inches. 19 inches. So when I want to cut my material to form the gathers, I'm going to cut it 20 inches because of the sewing allowance. My hip measurement is 10.5 plus sewing allowance 1.5. So I'm just going to draw a straight line like so, all the way to the full length. Like I said, we are not using this part. The only time we'll be using this part is when we want to cut out our straight material for the gathers. We're just going to, don't worry, I'll show you in the video so you understand. So we are going to cut this out. So I have cut out my pattern. So what I'm going to do next is to cut out my dart intake. See, I've already cut it out already, and I'm going to attach it. I'm going to close it up. And this is everything we have cut out. So now we'll be cutting the back. Guys, I'll be taking my back measurement. There's no difference. There's not much difference for this back this thing. So I'll be measuring from my shoulder down to 18 inches. 18 inches is what we use for the front, so we'll use that same 18 inches. Then from the beginning of my paper to my armhole is 9 inches. I'm going to draw a straight line across like so. Just going to draw a line like this. And then I'll take my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. I'll also take the same 8 inches on my armhole like so, and I'll draw a straight line. Now from this part here, I'll come down by half inch, just the same way we did with the front pattern. Then from this point, I'll divide what I have from here to my armhole by 2, and I'm going to mark. So I'm going to slant my shoulder like so, and then I would come in from this point by half inch to get the armhole curve. Yeah, so I'm just going to connect it like this. Sorry, I made a mistake. I didn't add my zip allowance. I'll be adding it on my fabric. So sorry about that, guys. So after that, we'll take all our body measurement. My bust is 10, that is 40, and then my waist is 8.5. So I'm going to add my 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Then afterwards, I can decide to use my armhole as the back of my my as my back. I can decide to come up a bit. You can decide to come up a bit, maybe by 1 inch, and connect to the armhole, whichever one. Or you want to go down some more, you can decide to go down from your armhole some more. You can decide to just use your armhole. You can decide to just come up a bit and curve down to the armhole. But I'll be using my armhole. Just like that. I'll come down a bit. Okay. I'll come down a bit by just half of an inch. Just half of an inch. I don't want too much difference. Just half of an inch. And I'm going to connect it like so. And I'm also going to connect this hole for our sleeve. Just the way we did at the front, we'll come in by ½ inch. Then from this ½ inch, we're going to mark 3 inches. And then from here, we are going to come down by 2 inches. And we're going to connect. So from this ½ inch, we'll just connect it all the way to the armhole. We'll blend it. And then this one, so we're just going to connect like so. Decide to make yours very tiny. You can decide to make yours very tiny, like, but this is what I want to use. This is all for the back, so I'm just going to cut out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut what I have. I've already gone ahead to open my dart up, so I'm going to go ahead and cut what I have. And I'm leaving allowance, so not just cutting it like that. I'm leaving little allowance. So this is for my front piece. So guys, remember that there's a cape. There's a cape here. There's a cape here. I'm going to be cutting out the cape. The length of the cape, I'll be using 7 inches. So I want that 7 inches here. Then for the length of the cape, I'm using 3 inches. You can add a sewing allowance. You can choose to add it on your fabric. So I'll be using, let me add my sewing allowance. That's 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches. So I'm going to draw a straight line across like so. So this is what I'm using for my cape. So I'm just going to cut out the cape. This is the cape. I'm going to be attaching the cape like this. I hope you understand. So I have gone ahead to add my zipper allowance. I didn't add it to the pattern, so I've gone ahead to add my zipper allowance. And then I've gone ahead to cut out my cape, and I cut it into 2. That's 2 for one cape, 2 for another cape. So to get the full length of our dress, remember I told you in the previous video that from your half length down to your full length, you take your measurements, which I had 19. Then I added 1 inch allowance for sewing. So I had 19. I added 1 inch allowance for sewing. That is 20. So I'm going to mark 20 here. So this remaining one, I'll be using it for my sleeve. So this is going to be my gathers, my skirt. So after cutting out your straight fabric, you're just going to bring the 2 points. The amount of the fabric that we are attaching this way, you're just going to fold it into 2, like so. I'm going to fold it into 2 like so, and you're going to place this pattern on it, like this. I'm going to place the pattern on it, and you will cut it out. That was why I said we are not doing the slash and spread method. We are just going to cut this out. I'm going to have to cut out the sleeve into 4. That is lining and fabric for each sleeve.